Hey folks, it's Matt once again, and since I talked about the first film, The Gate, which I thought was an enjoyable film, why not talk about The Gate 2, also known as Gate 2, The Trespassers, although he was called Gate 2, Return to the Nightmare, which I know you can't really see. This is a very lame fucking tagline. There's only one thing more terrifying than the first visit. The second. No shit. But basically just a hand crawling out of the hole. And the back, half of it's in English and half is in French, because I guess this is actually a Canadian DVD. Well, it says Canadian Home Video, but it still plays on any DVD player. But anyway, The Gate 2. Once again, you have Tibor Takács coming back to direct it. I think you have the same writer, Michael Nankin. Yeah, you have the same writer coming back as well. And you also have the guy, Louis Tripp. He starred in this film as the friend of Steven Dorff. You can't see that clearly, but the guy with the glasses, the friend of Steven Dorff's character, he comes back as the lead in this film. And before we get into the film, a little bit of stuff. Apparently, after The Gate, people liked what they saw because, like I said, if I didn't say before, The Gate, when it came out, it was the same week as Ishtar, and people thought Ishtar was going to be big, and this film beat the shit out of Ishtar. So it got a lot of publicity for that, it became a decent-sized hit. So I guess people liked what they saw, because they offered Tibor Takács to direct Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4, The Dream Master. But he's like, oh, you're not giving me enough time. So they gave it to Renny Harlin, and now Painter, while Tibor Takács went on to do Magic Snake and Mosquito and Spiders 3D.
That's kind of sad, but, you know, I like Renny Harlin, so should have done it. So, that's kind of weird. And the writer, Michael Nankin, went on to actually write and direct some, I might have said this before, but if I didn't, just in case, went on to write and direct a lot of TV stuff. The new Battlestar Galactica. He did some of Terminator, Sarah Connor Chronicles. He did TV shows of Eureka. He did like an episode to CSI. Like, he's done a lot of stuff. And your star, Louis Tripp, he didn't go on to do much. I mean, after The Gate, after this film, Louis Tripp, the star of this, and co-star of this, he did like 2 little TV things. He did The Gate 2, and then this was 1990, I'll get to that, apparently. 9 years later, in 1999, he had an uncredited role as Nerdy Kid in Detroit Rock City, and then that's the last thing Louis Tripp's ever done. So for the past 20 years, all he's done is an uncredited Nerdy Kid in Detroit Rock City. But, I know I haven't gotten to the film yet, because the film, I keep this, I guess, as a collector's. I think it's one of those things, actually, that's like, I watch it, I don't care for it too much, down the road, I'll forget it, then I'll watch it again. Oh, okay, that's why. It's one of those things. I just, since I had the first one, then I'll have the second one. And yes, I already know, like I said before, there's going to be a Gate 3D, directed by Alex Winter, Bill and Ted, that H.R. Dieter, I think is going to do some designs on it, so I don't know about that. But the reason I haven't been getting much to the plot is there's not much to say. Apparently this film was made in 1989 to be released in 1990. That's why in the film they keep saying it's been 2 years since the first film. But really enough, this film did not come to the theaters. Well, it came into 1992. So it was made in 89-90, but it didn't. Although this is definitely a typical unwanted, unneeded sequel. Granted, I'm a big fan of sequels, you know. I can understand, you know, sequels to Die Hard, sequels to Rocky and Rambo, or I should say Rocky and First Blood. I didn't understand sequels to RoboCop, Predator, Alien. You know, you have Aliens, Predator 2, RoboCop 2, films I enjoy. I can even understand, like, sequels to Evil Dead, Ace Ventura,
I can understand that, but the gate wasn't really needed. And long story short, you have Louis Tripp playing the same character, Terry, who, like I said in my previous review, reminded me of a good friend of mine, Mike, OCB Communications, one of my best friends on here. Not so much in this film, because this film I didn't really like the character too much. But I thought he was fine in the first film. Well, it's been 2 years later. Apparently Steven Dorff and his family from the first film have moved. And it's been, here it says 2 years later. And Louis Tripp, again, his character, his mom has passed on, his dad's an alcoholic. So he decides to fuck with the gate again, stupid him, and does his ritual. And long story short, you have these 3 other teenagers come up upon him because Louis Tripp, his character Terry, he's at the house in this movie, the first film, Steven Dorff's old place, and he has like this scroll and has like this electronic stuff and his pentagram, and for some reason these 3 kids just bumble into this house. These 3 there's like 2 douchebags and a girl. For some reason, I don't know why the fuck they were at the house in the first place. It's just like randomly being in the place, interrupting what Louis Tripp is doing. And then weirdly enough, like the little girl not little girl, but the girl, which is actually the actress's name, she's part of the decent part of this film, Pamela Segal. She's actually the one who's gone to do the most because she's done a lot of voice work, including Bobby Hill in King of the Hill TV series. For those who don't know, King of the Hill, you know the anime TV cartoon. Bobby is the son of Hank, and he's basically the kid, the boy in King of the Hill. And this girl did the voice for him for like 13 or so years. So Pamela Segal has gone and do a lot of stuff, and you'll listen and like, there's a little bit of Bobby Hill. It's kind of weird because Bobby's a guy and this is a girl. It's kind of weird. But she's a decent part. But she just talks a little bit and gets the other guys to willingly do this ritual with them. Where, like, the Louis Tripp, he's about to kill his hamster, doesn't want to. Then the guy behind him says, kills it, grabs his hand and kills it for him. And all this crazy shit starts happening. This black stuff starts oozing out of the walls. And all of a sudden, one of those little minions from the first film pops out. One of the guys shoot it. Things disappear. Louis Tripp finds it, puts it in a cage. The girl, the Pamela Segal character, starts wanting to hang out with this guy a lot because Louis Tripp's character a lot. I guess because, wow, that was so cool, right? And it was so interesting, and warms up to Louis Tripp's character. And apparently, when you grab one of these minions, and I don't know something about scaring them, then a lot of times they get something, they light it on fire, and they go in front of the little minion's face. They can wish for stuff. So like the girl wishes for this car, and apparently Louis Tripp, the whole reason he's doing this is that, and like, you get this little bit in the film where apparently he had come home one day and he found his father with a gun in his mouth, and this guy was alcoholic, and Louis Tripp was freaked out by that, didn't want that to happen again, so he wanted to help his dad, and so he did all this so that to get his dad's life back. And then the next day apparently his dad has a job at the airline as a pilot. So on one hand I can understand his reasoning, but I don't know, for some reason I don't buy it. Maybe because after seeing the first film, I'm like, dude, all the shit you went through in the first film, you almost died. Steven Dorff saved your ass. And, like, you really don't fuck with these things again? And you seem like you know what you're doing, but obviously you fucked up because later on, something happens with his dad, and his dad gets hurt in a hospital. And also the wishes that they've gotten, like the car, and then those 2 douchebags steal the little minion and want money, and they finally get money, so they're at this fancy restaurant. They've been bitten by the minion a few times along the way, so one of them is in the bathroom. Weirdly enough, Just fucking made me laugh, not in a way, I'm sure. Because the guy's turned to a demon, he's in the toilet. The fucking waiter comes in, knocks on the door, looks down, sees legs kicking, and clearly blood. Clearly blood flying under it. And he asks, "Are you alright, sir?" "Yeah, I'm alright. I'm pissing blood. I'm shitting blood on my ass." The fuck? But what I was gonna say is their wishes turn to shit. Literally. So like the girl's car turns into shit. The guys have money, wherever they have money, it turns to shit. Literally shit.